Hey guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, Leah and Michelle. Today is the, 11th of August, 2019. I had to think about that for a second. It's technically the 9th of Av, which is
Hong
the
Kong
Hebrew holiday where
protests are still hanging on. We're still here. China is, again, we haven't had any huge developments here. We're gonna keep our eye on the situation. It could end ugly. I'm praying for a
peaceful solution.
peaceful solution. Hong Kong pro-democracy protesters return to the streets. Thousands of pro-democracy protesters hit the streets of Hong Kong on Sunday for the 10th week in a row, once again defying police after a night of hit-and-run rallies across the city. Activists calling for greater democratic freedoms in the city have shown no sign of standing down, despite Hong Kong's leader insisting she will not meet their demands. Early Sunday afternoon, hundreds of protesters were gathered in the city's Victoria Park, braving hot and humid conditions and a police ban on the demonstration following a planned march route from the park. The police should try their best to maintain public security instead of rejecting our request to march. We're still here and we'll see if we feel like marching later. We won't worry that much about illegal assembly. We still have our rights. Police have given protesters a permit to gather at the park but denied the request to stage a march. They also denied protesters a permit for a second protest in the city's working class neighborhood. It would not be good for Hong Kong if everyone is scared and no one dares come out. We should have freedom from fear. The fresh protests come after a night of cat and mouse demonstrations around the city, where protesters taking their mantra of flexible action, be water, to new heights. Groups of protesters sporting helmets and gas masks, dressed in their movement signature black, blocked intersections across the city for hours throughout the night. And several locations, riot police fired tear gas and 16 people were arrested.
a Swede Speak says Hong Kong protesters had signs saying that they want a Second Amendment.
Yeah.
And Britt Baza says, Michelle, the Hong Kongese, I don't know how you even say that, police are now using rubber bullets as of BBC News today.
So here we have riot police are charging protesters at Park Lane. Let's hope it's not really loud. Oh, I didn't plug in. Oh, you plugged me. Okay. You know, we're seeing a lot of this civil unrest as of late all over the place. I'm not a big fan of the violence in the streets, and I will tell you that now. I will tell that to the Hong Kongers. I'm going to tell that to everybody. Let's see, I guess the live feed here.
But hang on, because we talked about this last week.
But I still think there's always going to be people who take it to the wrong level.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it right, then it can be very wrong.
Right.
And I think that you have to be really careful. And I don't think that violence is ever your answer. I don't think smoke bombs are your answer. I don't think that going in and blocking streets is the answer.
So I have a question for you, though. And, like, legit. And obviously it's hard to go back in history for something that didn't actually happen this way. But let's just say for a second that during the Revolutionary War, the British had all the weapons and the Americans did not.
I think
how do you have
I think you have to read John Locke. And I don't know that they had or not. I think you have to read John Locke.
Right.
And I think that you have to know your purpose, know your cause, know your stated goals. If you're just haphazard, ragtag group of people who half of them might have really good motives and the other half might just be out there with everybody else, but there's going to be a quarter have good motives.
Right.
And just want anarchy in the streets.
Right.
I'm not going to listen to you if you do that. I can't stand behind you no matter what. Because
so I think what you're saying is perhaps they would have to make a declaration of war. And that's what we actually did with our Declaration of Independence. We made a declaration. We made a statement. This is what we are doing. Now it's coming to blows.
But here's the thing. We can't compare what's happening all over the world to a Revolutionary War because there was nothing like it. And there might not be anything like that for a while. And people tried. You saw the French Revolution, saw what we did, and they turned it into a bloody massacre.
Right.
And we know that that was wrong.
Right.
We know that what they did, grabbing people, pulling people out of pulling people out of their homes and killing children and whole families.
So the answer, I think, actually comes back to the same thing that I said in my word that I gave you guys the other night, the answer for all mass shootings. And that is getting in the Word of God. The only answer, and then God will show you what to do.
Who's to say that you, if you're willing to be a thug, are going to be a better form of government for the people? Okay? But my point is I'm saying that as a warning to the Hong Kongers who I desperately want to be behind their march for freedom.
Right.
But I cannot be behind thuggery.
Right.
And destroying of other people's property who are just trying to live their lives. Let's say this is in my hometown, and I have friends who own businesses, and people are shutting down their lives.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't sign up for this.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, I think you're absolutely right. When people are just vandalizing private property for no reason, that's absurd in any sense.
And they're shutting down transportation. And here's the thing, you're not going to get anywhere because the Chinese government will destroy you. Yeah. When it comes to blows, you'll just die. So
you really do need to get on your face before God, seek God as a group and as a people, and then you will be unstoppable, regardless of, God will shut the mouth of the lion.
But you can hear this in English. They're saying, stand in Hong Kong, fight for freedom. But, and this is why we cover some of these hard things to disseminate. If anybody has a right, it's the people of Hong Kong to fight against a very totalitarian communist regime who nobody in the West seems to want to stand up to. An article I didn't bring up, I think an Australian, terror minister said that the world is not paying attention to China's threat and China's globalist ambitions because China is spreading beyond China.
They own property here in the United States.
Well, I'm talking about, yes, but I'm talking about in Africa, they're buying up land, mining rights. They're buying up the land. They're taking
the same
over.
Thing here, yeah.
And
they already own Hollywood.
Yeah, they already own Hollywood. And China's global threat, and Chinese leaders are really smart and they're really subtle. And I do believe that China is the greatest threat. And when you do see a lot of things, I think you can blame them on the Chinese. Instead of Russia.
Yeah, I was
it is China.
Right.
And it is because they have when they wake up in the morning, they are led by their religion. And their religion is a Marxist. They believe that the world needs to be Marxist. They believe that taking these steps is good, that it's right, and it's a religion to them. So, all right. This is your other commercial break.
No.
A Tesla on autopilot in Moscow slams into tow truck, explodes into flames. Listen, I know a lot of people like Elon Musk. I don't care for him because if something I created kept blowing up and kept killing people, I would say stop driving them, everyone. But no, not Elon Musk.
Barbaza says, Michelle, the Hong Kongese, I can't say that, Hong Kongese are not destroying private businesses. They are attacking public government buildings and police stations as well as public street furniture. Again,
I've seen both. I think you get a little out of control, but yeah.
Right.
Just days after, and here's the thing, I'm fully behind the Hong Kong thing, protest for freedom, which is why we cover it. I just want them to be cautious because I want their movement to win, and I think you be smart about it, and or you'll lose. Just days after we reported that Tesla could be on the verge of a formal investigation, a father and his 2 kids in Moscow both suffered serious injuries after the Tesla Model S on autopilot slammed into a tow truck before bursting into flames.
But hang on, though, because I didn't think that these cars were actually allowed to be on the road on autopilot.
They are. You're just not supposed to, be sleeping.
You're kidding. They got it on film? Oh my gosh, this is on film. You didn't say that we were going to have to watch that. That's horrendous.
This video around the 2-minute mark shows a driver passing what can be only described as the smoldering wreckage.
Oh my gosh. That's really awful.
It is so weird to watch nice cars on the road in Russia. Isn't it?
Yeah.
We've been to Russia.
It's been a long time.
But it's been a long time.
Shoot.
So the accident took place on Moscow's Ring Road on Saturday evening.
Wow.
With initial reports blaming the autopilot.
Well, of course it's the autopilot. Oh my gosh, cars just don't burst into flames. Mm-hmm. Obviously it says it slammed into a tow truck. I didn't see the tow truck there.
Libya, Benghazi. The expanding chaos of the renewed war in Libya, increasingly a failed state. Thank you, U.S. If there ever was a prime example of one, now approaching a decade on from its so-called liberation, 2011, by U.S. NATO forces, keeps providing daily and weekly reminders of the Obama-Hillary Clinton legacy of humanitarian intervention. On Saturday, what is being reported as either a car bomb or possibly a roadside bomb ripped through a neighborhood in eastern Libyan city of Benghazi near the United Nations office. The blast killed two UN staff, identified as United Nations Libyan mission guards, with an additional 10 people being wounded, some of them children. The vehicle was detonated outside a busy shopping mall at peak time of traffic, given locals are preparing to celebrate the Muslim holiday of Eid al-Adha. The place is close to the offices of the UN support mission in Libya. Footage circulated online shows what appear to be burnt UN-owned vehicles while thick smoke is rising in the sky. So, terror attack in Benghazi. Total destroyed there.
Wow.
So, yeah. Way to go. We came, we saw. He died. The death toll from the renewed civil war has involved General Haftar's Benghazi-based LNA attempting to seize the capital of Tripoli from the UN-backed GNA is now in the thousands, with over 105,000 displaced over this conflict. So we're going to skip that one. We're going to go on to a little money talk here.
All right, we love you guys. God loves you, and God bless, and have a wonderful rest of your Sunday.
Beginning of your week.
Bye, guys.
I was cold.